New Tiberium harvesting methods instituted by the Brotherhood of Nod increase profit.
At least your mother tipped well.
Cover of Tiberium ignored reporters at Hong Kong's Second World Tiberium Economic Impact Summit. Mobius is expected to refute charges from the scientific community that Tiberium might be dangerous.
Hi, I'm Caliban. The live-action cinematics that became popular in the 90s were pretty important to me, and they really left a mark on how I remember gaming back then. Command & Conquer was by no means the first to include these, but I think it's safe to say that Westwood's offering was pretty iconic. I thought it might be fun to take a look at the stars of these cutscenes, who they were, and what sort of work or career they've had before and since. It doesn't seem to be a subject that anyone else has covered before, and this is all my own research, so please note that this comes with a massive disclaimer. I've made an honest and best effort to be as accurate as possible, but this is by no means definitive. So if you spot something that I've got wrong, please let me know along with the source in the comments so I can make any corrections necessary. You'll probably notice a common through line that most of these people had connections to Nevada. This is no accident. Westwood Studios was based in Las Vegas, so it makes a lot of sense that they chose local talent for their production. Anyway, enough preamble. Let's kick off with the man that would introduce us to our first mission, Colonel Mark Sheppard.
Are you picking this up? Good. I know you need more deep background, but we're up against it.
Mark Sheppard's character credit is given to one Eric Allen Martin. Unfortunately, I was only able to find very little on Eric. He had a handful of credits on IMDb and I wasn't able to track down a copy of the single film he did appear in. I'm guessing either his acting career was very short or mostly consisted of offline media, which is a shame, as I'm sure many of us remember him very fondly as the first person that greeted us after we bought the game. Colonel Sheppard is the inspiration for my avatar, who I like to call General Commanderson, so I'm reminded of Eric whenever I put a video together. Sadly, he passed away on the 1st of April 2019, so if you're holding a glass, raise it with me and spare a thought for Eric.
Carter says you hit the ground fighting. Nice job. Now we need that again.
It is not an exaggeration to state that the future of the entire planet may be in jeopardy.
Dr. Mobius was played by Richard Smith, and from what I can tell he was an artist rather than an actor. It looks like he worked for a company called Studio Mythos who provided assets for video games, and they are named on the end credits for Command & Conquer. He's worked on a lot of games throughout his career, including several games from the Call of Duty series. I'm guessing he was roped into the job on Command & Conquer as they needed someone for a short bit, and in true Westwood style, Richard must have fit the bill. It's really hard to tie all these loose threads together, but unless there were two Richard Smiths working on these projects, then I think this is him now. If I'm right, he's the art director of Netflix games, so appears to have done rather well for himself.
May God have mercy on our souls.
We gotta knock out that refinery, eliminate all Nod forces before we lose our position. I don't know how long we can hold out.
Colonel Carter was played by Bill Collins. I found this a little difficult to piece together because he's been known as Bill Collins, Les Collins and William Lester Collins in various credits. He's appeared in several TV series in the 80s and 90s. I managed to find him in an episode of Parker Lewis Can't Lose, a show that says 90s like nothing else. I think this is him here, having his lobster stolen by a hungry Abraham Ben Ruby.
Hey, you! What do you think you're doing?
Fishing?
Get him!
It looks like Bill continued to act and had small non-speaking parts in many productions, but as he isn't credited for them, it's quite hard to put a list together. He does have a credit in film marked as in production, so I guess he's still in the game.
Condition critical.
Condition.
Okay.
Condition critical.
Delta Sierra Echo to Commander, approaching next objective.
GDI's Air Force commander, Colonel Morelli, was played by Wendy Bagger. Wendy was studying theatre arts at the University of Nevada during Command & Conquer's production, so this was probably one of her first roles. She went on to get her master's degree at the Ohio State University and has been in numerous stage productions since. She's also a trainer and communications coach at a climate risk analytics company, so I guess she's a very busy person.
You're on point. Give him hell.
It has been truthfully said that knowledge is power.
Kane, the leader of the Brotherhood of Nod, was portrayed by Joseph Kukan, and I think his story is pretty well known. The short version is that he was hired by Westwood Studios to direct talent, but during the production they couldn't find the suitable actor to play Kane, so Joe stepped in and took up the role himself. I think if you remember one character from CNC, it's probably Kane, so it's obvious that he did a great job. Joseph Kukan continued to play Kane in the series long after Westwood Studios disbanded, and would direct the cutscenes for all of these games, up to and including Tiberian Twilight in 2010. Alongside his work on video games, he's been involved in his local theatre scene for many years and has directed his fair share of productions too. More recently, he's co-founded his own theatre company who have been putting on productions in his home state of Nevada for the last 10 years.
Where will the world most keenly feel the blade of GDI treachery?
Back so soon? Let's see how you do with something important.
Kane's right-hand man, Seth, was played by Eric Gooch, a graphic artist working at Westwood at the time. He provided voices for a few other of Westwood's games, but appears to have focused on his artistic talents and has had a long and successful career since. He's been employed as an artist by divisions of Crytek, Microsoft and Sony, and aside from Westwood titles has worked on games such as Halo 5, Days Gone and Ratchet & Clank. This is Eric today. He's still working in the industry, using his considerable talents on modern AAA games. He's currently a senior lighting artist over at Ben's studio.
If you fail, you die.
Only one General Sheppard and his vision of one world order is stopped. This is Greg Burdette, the Alley Stock.
Our last face from the Nod campaign is the news reporter Greg Burdette. He was portrayed by Eric Randall, a great choice considering Eric's history as a weather reporter, TV host and corporate spokesperson.
Here's your host, Eric Randall.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another big week here on Sports Desk, Handicapping's answer to The Swan.
He seems to have landed a few parts in bigger productions after Command & Conquer, but I guess he mainly stuck to local and corporate work. I found his old YouTube channel and it's full of nice messages from people who remember him fondly from his local TV work, which is not surprising, as he does have a friendly character as well as a rich and distinct voice.
Hey, everybody, Eric Randall here to point you to the smartest place to buy a new car.
There is also a comment where he mentions that he had performed voices on 2 of Westwood's previous games, before Joe Kukan himself asked him to play the part of Greg Burdette. I guess this makes his appearance in Command & Conquer very meta, as we have Joe as Joe hiring Eric as Eric to play Greg alongside Joe as Kane, being directed by Joe in a scene where Joe as Kane directs Eric as Greg. Did that make any sense? Nah, probably not.
When will this madness end?
Of course, these weren't the only people in front of the camera for Command & Conquer. I've only covered the characters who had names and appeared more than once, but there were many more involved, like the fighting couple in the opening credits, the science show presenter, the female newsreader, various soldiers, and the rollerblading kids that look like they are drinking motor oil. If you dig into many of the other credits for the game, you'll find that these people don't have a career in acting, but instead are programmers, artists and musicians employed at Westwood to work on various parts of the game. I love the fact that Westwood included many of its staff in the FMV, and it must have been really fun to know that you've not only worked on a great game but also appeared in it yourself. I'm a huge fan of all of the cinematics in Command & Conquer, and I think the choice to use real actors instead of animation gave the game real character, and without those people I'm not sure it would be quite as memorable as it is today. This is true of many games of the period, whether it's Eric Martin as Colonel Sheppard, Thomas F. Wilson as Maniac, or Clive Owen as Sir Lev Aris. These actors brought a certain level of realism, charm and gravitas to their characters that CGI never quite seems to manage. There are loads of talented but lesser known actors out there, always on the lookout for professional opportunities, and I think the fact that most modern games choose to animate everything is a real shame. Hi there, thanks for watching my little bit of cinematic history. If you've got anything to add, pop it in a comment, and as per usual, I would like you to like and love you to subscribe.